As you know, February is Black History Month, and we are committed to bringing you stories that celebrate it.
And just a few decades ago, one area of the city was the place to go to see the latest singers and musicians perform live.
WJZ is live along Pennsylvania Avenue in West Baltimore.
And Alex Glaze explains its incredible history and culture. Hey, Alex.
Guys, Pennsylvania Avenue used to be the strip of Baltimore where you could go and see stars. Today, I was asked, how close do you think you could get to Beyonce? And the answer is obviously not anywhere near her, right? But for people that grew up walking down Pennsylvania Avenue back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, rubbing shoulders with some of the biggest stars of that time was normal. In the early to mid 20th century, Pennsylvania Avenue was the Broadway of Old West Baltimore. People came from around the country to celebrate black art and entertainment.
Whether it was Louis Armstrong, or whether it was the Temptations, the Miracles, whether it was Patti LaBelle, whether it was Aretha Franklin, all of those folks played the Royal Theater.
James Hamlin grew up in Baltimore and owns the Avenue Bakery on Pennsylvania Avenue. He says back then, if you wanted to make it in show business,
a long time coming, but I know
the Royal Theater was the place you had to be at your best.
If you did not do well at the Royal Theater in Baltimore, you weren't going to make it in the entertainment business.
The Chitlin Circuit was a black theater circuit throughout the United States that allowed black artists to perform during the era of racial segregation.
In New York, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., Chicago, even some parts of Boston, African-American entertainers would find places owned by and operated by African-Americans where they could actually express their art form without the Jim Crow glare.
In its heyday, Pennsylvania Avenue was the center of the black entertainment world. That all changed in 1968 when Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was killed.
The riots took place in cities across the country, and it took place here on Pennsylvania Avenue as well. And the problem is that someone made a decision that Pennsylvania Avenue was not worth revitalization, and it's been abandoned, really neglected for over 50-some years.
Pennsylvania Avenue hasn't looked the same since.
When we talk about the crime and what's going on, we talk about the culture. You've got to change the culture, and in order to change the culture, we need to educate our folks on our history and our legacy, and we have to change this environment that our young people are growing up in. They have no sense of how they're living in the most historic African-American community in the country. They have no sense of the history, and therefore they don't have that sense of pride and dignity that we had growing up here.
And James Hamlin is one of the people looking to address the issues of historic West Baltimore and Pennsylvania Avenue and revitalize this area. And the goal is to bring a new Royal Theater to this area in addition to a jazz center, retail shops, and restaurants back to this community. I'm Alex, reporting for WJZ.
That would be great.
That would be amazing. Just bring the pulse back to that area, especially since it was like the hot spot.
I like what you said there. The pulse. It's the word we're holding on to there. Let's envision it. It'll happen.